Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 76108. This is the Sanctum Sanctorum Showdown, containing 1,004 pieces, retailing for $99.99 in the United States, containing 4 minifigures and a big fig. This is a set based on Avengers Infinity War, the largest set from the Infinity War wave of sets, and I don't know, at first, I always thought this was a cool set. At first I had no real plans to get it, but Endgame kind of made me really want this one. And my Walmart had it on clearance for $80, as you can see, that's how much I paid for it. A bunch of other Walmarts got it down to $25, but unfortunately I was still at school when that happened and they all sold at that price, and I'd been waiting for a couple weeks for this to go down, and eventually one of the two that my Walmart had at $80 sold, and I don't know, I just didn't want to wait any longer because I don't want to risk missing it. So I figured, you know, to just go out and spend $80 on it. So hopefully, you know, it has been worth my $80. Take a closer look. Alright, here we have a look at the, you know, full final build of the Sanctum once it's all put together. And you notice it's designed to look like, well, the Sanctum Sanctorum building here. And additionally, we have this regular New York City building with a pizza place on the bottom floor, and the top two floors are supposed to represent Peter Parker's apartment, well, and Aunt May's apartment, I guess, too, but you know, it's not specifically designed to look like anything from the outside because we don't really see specifically the outside of Peter's home. So, you know, it's not attempting to exactly replicate a particular building in New York. It's just designed to kind of emulate that style, which, you know, it does decently well. And I do like how, you know, it is the same height as the Sanctum, so, you know, they feel relatively normal. However, before we take a close look at each of the individual buildings, I do want to show you a little bit of what configurability the set has. Down here we have what you build first in the set. It's this little side section, and that can be removed out entirely. We'll take an up-close look at that in just a second. But you can then fold these together and create, you know, just a single street, and that looks pretty good. And you know, as you can see, there's a little that you weren't able to see, you know, with the camera angle the way it just was. But you know, that creates basically just a flat, you know, street view. It's a shame that there's not much of a sidewalk. It would have been nice to get this to extend out just a couple studs. But it's not too big a deal that it doesn't. It just, you know, would have been nice to be able to pose some figures on the sidewalk, but you know, this kind of takes up the whole sidewalk, and this, you know, most of the sidewalk is unusable. That's a little bit of a shame, but when you do this, since you obviously can't put this in the corner now, you can attach this assembly at the end over here. There is no way to attach it to the other side. The other wall is completely flat and has no technicals there. But, you know, you can do this and create a little bit of a street view, which I think is good. And the other thing that you can do is you can fold it up completely and create a fully enclosed building. Now, the one weird thing about that is that, you know, it will take the interior from this building and combine it with the interior of that one, so you kind of have two buildings in one here. Like, just a really quick look, we'll look at all the interiors more closely in a second, but basically the interior of the pizza shop leads into the ground floor of the Sanctum, and up here, Peter's apartment is Doctor Strange's office with the cool window, and you know, when you close it up, they just kind of combine and become the same thing, which is a little unfortunate. So the little corner side build here isn't anything crazy special, but you know, it, you know, has a couple good little elements to it. Here, you got this newspaper stand, which features on the side a sticker that shows us Daredevil in sort of minifigure form. Saying crime floods the streets. Just cool little nod to Daredevil there. And inside there are 3 identical sticker tiles that all have the same sticker on them, and it's just this newspaper folded up. You know, that's cool. And you can obviously, you know, your figures could come across and they could open it up and take a newspaper and walk away. So yeah, it's a cool little tiny side build. It attaches with one actual pin, and then this one just to keep it lined up. You do have a clip there and a clip here. This one holds a web in place. You could move the web to the other clip if you wanted to. So for example, if we were to go back to the scenario where we have it up against the very end, and you don't want to have the web attached to nothing, you can do that and clip it in over here, just so that it still kind of makes sense. Or you could leave it here if you wanted to. I mean, it's totally up to you. But other than that, there's just some little cardboard boxes represented here. I like how the one on the top has the cheese slopes going in the 4 different directions to make it look like it's, kind of folding up in all directions. And you'll notice that attached to the spider web is a phone. I don't know, maybe Spider-Man found this phone and he's webbing it up to the wall, with the little lost and found sign. And there's a pizza slice that someone must have picked up from the pizza place, and they didn't like it, so they tried to throw it away, but they missed the trash can because the lid was closed. Probably just threw it at the lid and it slipped off. And yeah, the lid can be removed to reveal that someone already threw a bone in there. So yeah, but that's really all there is to this. And then looking at the building exteriors, we've got Pepe's Pizza here. I like this sticker a lot. That looks really good, and I like the little bit of awning that we get there. That looks nice. It's mostly hidden from a higher up view by this fire escape, which you'll see when we get to the next floor up. But you still get a little bit of a hint of it through there, because that's not obviously filled in. It's just a little open, and there's some gaps there. And then this thing here is a little bit of an action feature. So say there's a little bit of a battle going on in the streets. You got some different people fighting, and maybe a stray blast happens to hit the window. You just push that and it'll knock the window out, and that's a decent little play feature. And that kind of shows you a little bit of the interior of the pizza place, which again we will get to when we get there. And you do have the open sign on the door. The door can open, and then that is a street sign for Bleecker Street, which is the street that the Sanctum is on. So it's nice to see that little reference there. And for even further references, on the door we do have the actual number, which is 177A. That is accurate, and the door can open up. The door is kind of inset there, so there's no door handle on this side. There's a door handle on the other side of the piece, but it is a good design stickered on that door, and I like the use of these ingot pieces and the jumpers just to add some architectural detail, as well as down here. I like these slopes down here and how these two stick out to make it look like there's a stairway or a stairwell walkway. The steps are not uniform in height here. They are on the inside, but that's because of the door frame piece. And just going upwards, they continue the really, really nice design. I love the way that the Sanctum looks on this side. There is a little bit of a balcony here. You could actually use it. This figure's not included in the set, but I'll talk about him in a second and why I think he should have been included. But just to show, because he has no accessories or anything, that you can stick a figure here. You can. It's not designed specifically to, have been figure compatible, but it is, and it works. That's nice. And moving over to the other building, Bleecker Street sign there, and here's the fire escape. You can move this ladder down, and that would allow you access to the ground. And you have this other ladder here, which when you want the sidewalk to be unobstructed, this ladder would just fold up, because you don't use fire escapes most of the time. But yeah, I don't know. I think the design of these fire escapes is pretty cool. And then if we move up to the next floor, you'll see there's also pretty much an identical fire escape. This lever here doesn't do anything externally. We'll see that in use from the inside, but remember where that was, because I won't show you the outside one again. Over here on the side, we do have a big old spider web again, and this is an activator for another external play feature where you can just knock the window out. This is right next to Peter's bed, so I don't know, maybe he's using that to escape from his room real quick and get out without being seen, and I guess he'll just have to deal with rebuilding the window later. Or you can just open, I guess you can't open the glass piece because these pieces stop it, never mind. So I guess this is the only way for him to just get out onto the fire escape. How unsafe they should have thought about that when they added these barriers to the windows. But yeah, I mean, that's there. And then on the Sanctorum side, we have this really, really fantastic window print. This is on one of those TIE Fighter canopies. Exclusive to the set. It looks great, fantastic. I love this piece. And the whole design of this roof is phenomenal. This is probably my favorite part of the set. This one room up here. And up above, you'll see that there is, just a little bit of architectural detailing. And on this side, well, also on this side, since it's a sloped roof, there's only like 2 studs of space up there, and they're on different heights. This roof has about 4 studs, so you can fit a couple figures up there, just like so. Apologies about the lighting up here, but yeah, there is some space. And this here is a little bit of a play feature where if you allow Spider-Man to escape from his room, and you say stick this stud to his hand, just like so, and maybe unwind this, give him a little bit of slack. This is pretty decently working most of the time. You just knock him down and he will go flying downwards. And you can twist that, if you twist the little water tower just like that, it will reel him back up. So that's kind of cool. Simple little play feature. And I just want to show you the knocking down from the height so you can see what it looks like to see him fall all the way down. Those are his feet right there. And if we go just like that, you'll see him fall down. And the arc of the swing kind of depends on how much slack you have let out. So like that, he'll fall down there. That's kind of a cool little play feature, as simple as it is. And here's the bottom floor of the pizza place. We do have a little oven on the wall here with a paddle piece that you can use to put pizzas in and out of the oven. It's not super easy to actually do, and there is only one of these pizza tiles included in the set. So if you wanted to pretend to do that, you could stick it in there and you can pull it out when the time is right, or you could accidentally knock it on the floor if you're a terrible chef like myself. But it's a cool pizza piece, one of the more recent designs, and apparently they just store it on the counter. I don't know what this is for. Maybe it looks kind of like a shawarma making machine, like the same thing that they do in the kebab bob set. It looks like a smaller scaled version of that. It just kind of sits there, so I don't know, maybe they make things more than pizza. And this, in addition to looking like a little bit of a heat lamp for that, this is what actually pushes out the window. So if you push that out, and it'll just knock the window out like we saw from the other side. That is the kind of mechanism behind that. You also get a cash register, and you get a fire extinguisher here. Inside the restaurant, there's a sticker showing the menu, which, that's appropriate. And then on the exterior, we get a little bit of a web design classes poster and some graffiti and stuff. And while we're on the wall here, from the outside, there's a spider web used on the second floor, and nothing up here where that big giant spider web piece is. But moving over to the interior of the sanctum itself on the bottom floor, you got some windows here, which these are actually in use when you have the corner piece in there, but when you have them side by side, it really just kind of shows you another wall. We got this chair, which actually has a seat piece in the middle and allows, a figure to just sit there perfectly. We're going to take our sample Wong figure, just because, he has no accessories again, and it's just easiest to use him. You can just sit in there like so, and you do have an axe on the wall, a golden sword on the other wall, next to this scroll sticker, which is kind of cool. And then we have this. I don't know what this is supposed to represent, but they do use basically the same exact build in the 2016 Doctor Strange Sanctum set. And inside this crate is nothing. But you can see the steps leading up to the door that we saw from the outside. And, yeah, down here there's not too much going on, but there is room to definitely put a couple of figures down here. And on this outer wall, we've got the little portal here that shows you a picture of somebody. I'm not quite sure who that's supposed to be specifically. But you know, it is a little portal, and that portal comes out to here, where you can see the ST or 110 little thing through the portal. This is not supposed to be here. That's just from the Wong minifigure. I just put it there temporarily when I had Wong standing inside here before this review was filmed. You'd have 2 knives in this chest. I don't know what the significance of those knives is. I don't think there is any, really. But you got another spear and a staff there, just supposed to represent more magical artifacts, I assume. There's also the picture of that same person inside here. I don't know who it is again. Maybe it's supposed to be the ancient one. That could be possible. Or maybe it's just supposed to be the previous Sorcerer Supreme in New York. On the floor we have this page from a book. It's got the symbol of the Dark Dimensions. Maybe it's the Book of Cagliostro. Some windows that you can see viewed to the outside. And then over here we have a little bookcase. And inside this bookcase are some books and a little trophy. And this right here does something. So I'm going to turn that, but the camera angle is going to change so you can see what it actually does. So this feature really only works when the buildings are at exactly 90 degrees, or maybe a little bit greater than 90 degrees if you want to partially close it, but you need to be able to access the interior to activate that lever, as well as you need to be able to allow the wall to pop off, because inside that bookcase you will find was hiding the time stone on one of these little stamp pieces in transclear. And that's where that is kept. And, you know, it's a decent little feature, and it really is very, very well hidden away. Aside from the actual actuator piece itself. It could be a little bit more difficult to spot, but I guess it is dark gray, so it doesn't pop out as much as those kind of ugly red ones over here, like that. And here's Peter's room on the same floor. It's just opposite to where we just were. And over here we've got some boxes laid out. This one is labeled Pete's Stuff. The one underneath just has a jumper so that this is allowed to attach onto it. There are doorways inside of Peter's apartments. It kind of separates it into 4 spaces. This one over here is where his desk is. On the floor there, we've got a really cool sticker of a drawing of his homemade suit, which is nice. There's a keyboard print there, as well as this computer screen sticker. And we got some little vials of stuff, as well as a little desk lamp. And then on the wall, we've got a map, as well as some photos above. It looks like Peter's trying to solve something. Or maybe just he has a map of the city to map out all the crimes and whatever. There is a little spiderweb sticker on the window over here that you can kind of see when we remove that. That's more visible from the outside, and again, these windows are only useful when you don't have the 2 buildings up right against each other. And here is the top floor of Peter's apartment. You can see there's one more sticker on the wall, which has this cool Captain America sticker telling him to stay in school. And then maybe a schedule or something, and some other photos like before. There's a pizza piece on the floor, another one of those quarter pizzas. Pretty cool part there to get more of. We have a bed here, which has this pillow kind of off to the side, and you can fit a figure here, just, you know, perfectly fine. It's a little weird for Spider-Man to be sleeping in his suit, but I'm not going to judge. And then over here, this area is completely empty, really, and, you know, part of that is because it has to do with the play feature. I don't think the execution is perfect, but remember that lever that I told you didn't do anything from the outside? Well, it's just a trapdoor activator. And I have had this happen where I've removed the thing and the trapdoor has just stayed in place and not fallen when there was no weight on it. So that might happen to you some of the time. Usually it works decently well, but I feel like, I don't know, the trapdoor is not particularly useful. It just drops him down the floor. I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world, but still. Again, right above this is just the empty roof with that kind of water tower and little play feature. Then over here we have the cool room of Doctor Strange. And this is what you think of when you think of the Sanctum Sanctorum. This is kind of what they attempted to represent with the 2016 Sanctum set. And got some letters on the floor. We both have some stickers on them. Pretty much the same, except this one right here has some grime on it, which I guess makes sense if it's just sitting underneath the desk. Probably forgotten about. Up here we have this alternate book I don't know what book this is supposed to be, but it is stickered on there. Pretty cool to get just a couple more of them. This candle piece reminds me a lot of that other Sanctum set. I'm pretty sure they had that same kind of build there. Again, same with the skeleton head. Again, reminds me of that. And then you got the books up there. And then on this side, we just have some goblets, I guess, a clear one and a gold one, as well as the same kind of style of book build. But I think that the window here looks great, even from the inside. And yeah, I don't know, this is my favorite little area of the set, and it looks great, especially when you have Doctor Strange standing up there. And again, the roof here is just basically not there. First up for figures, we have the Cull Obsidian Big Fig, and he looks pretty good. I think they did a great job with the molding on his head. The printing on him is pretty good throughout. You know, it's nothing too crazy, but I think it works. I like the molding for the shoulder pad. That is molded as part of the body and not part of the arm. Yeah. He does have these hammer weapons, which are attached with a chain. It's kind of a cool weapon to have here for him. I don't know. I think overall, this figure looks fine for what it is. It's not a huge draw for me. I think of the characters in the set, he's the least interesting one. I guess it is cool that, you know, he's here, because it's definitely very scene accurate, but other than that, nothing too crazy, and I feel like I personally don't care about his inclusion here, just because I feel like you know, if they took a big fig out, they could put in multiple other figures, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. And then next up we have Ebony Maw, who's also exclusive to this set, and of the Children of Thanos, I feel like this is the most interesting one as a figure, and also most interesting as a character. I don't know, I like the light aqua that they use for his head, and the printing through the torso and legs is pretty well done, including the back printing on the torso and head. And he does come with one of these Power Blast elements. This one is Trans Yellow, which has only otherwise been used in, I think, one DC set for the Flash, and if you don't know how those work, which you probably should by now, you just push down on the tail and it'll fire out of his hand, unless you screw it up like that. We'll try one more time. You know, it's a little bit of range, but not too much. Nothing crazy special. And you do get those included in a different color for Spider-Man in white, so I'm not going to show you how they work again. I'll show it in Spider-Man's hand, but I'm not going to talk about how they work. But yeah, I think this figure's pretty alright. The level of detail is good, and it looks pretty accurate to his on-screen appearance. Maybe he could have used a molded head, but I feel like that would have been a little weird as well, so I don't know. I'm okay with the way that this figure turned out. And then we have Doctor Strange himself, and for accessories this time, he gets these kind of splat pieces. It gets the orange color right, so I'll give it that, but I personally prefer the printed dishes here from the older Doctor Strange figure. Maybe those in trans orange, I think, would have been my ideal choice. But, you know, he does get these, and he gets the whole set of orange stuff. So you've also got these beams, which, you know, you could also use if you wanted to. They give you 2 of these assemblies so that you can swap it out. There's also the swirly around a bar, and the little smaller version of that beam, plus 2 of these little fist power things, and all of those are also included in Trans Blue for Iron Man, so I'm not going to show you the full set. I'm just going to show you what they kit him up with when we get to him. But the torso and leg print on this guy are really good. So good that, you know, they were used on the 2016 version of Doctor Strange, and they didn't even need to update them at all. So, you know, I'm very happy with those prints still, and I think that those are perfect. The face print on him is also the same as the original Doctor Strange, but it is, again, really good. He's got the angry expression as well. Yeah, I don't know. Both of those work perfectly. However, this Doctor Strange figure is still exclusive to the set, partially because the cape is done differently as well. This top part is the collar, and that's in the papery material, and the bottom is in the softer cape material. And they're 2 pieces this time instead of being one part like the previous Doctor Strange. And I think that that's better just because it's easier to apply. But we also have the hair, which is new. It's got the same mold as Bruce Wayne from the Lego Batman movie, but but we got the little bit of printing of the white on the sides of the hair. That is spot on perfect, and I don't know, that's a massive improvement to this figure, I think, in my opinion. And yeah, it's the same printing as before, but I just wanted to show you the back printing on his torso. And yeah, I don't know, I think that this is a really great figure and was a huge draw of the set to me, even though the only change was, or the only significant outward appearance change was in that hair. And then we have Iron Man Mark 50, who's swooshing around here on these versions of those Power Blast pieces, and they're attached to his feet via one of these curved 1x2 round plates and the hollow studs in Translite Blue, and I think that's done to preserve the legs, because people have complained about them cracking over time if you leave them on the 1x1 round bricks. I guess that's part of where this new solution comes from. I think this looks kind of cool on display, like this, if you have them posed upright, but I think the strong failure here is that you can't pose the legs individually. So, with those out of the way, now we can look at the actual figure underneath, and these are just the two that they tell you to give them right off the bat in the instructions. You got the bar beam thing as before, and the splat kind of thing. They also tell you that you could just use these instead. I don't know if these are supposed to represent just his repulsors when he's flying. It doesn't work perfectly, but it's fine. I like it. And with all those removed, we get down to the base Mark 50 armor, and I love this figure. I think that this is really, really good. The helmet has been reused for the 85 and the Quantum suit, but, it was first used here, and it was a good design. We also, with this figure, got the first heads-up display, which comes out pretty nice. I like it. I've seen some complaints that it's not dark enough, and I kind of agree with that, but I think that this is okay for what it is. And, Tony Stark expression on the back. I love the red on dark red in the torso. It just creates such a cool look, and yeah, I don't know. This is probably my favorite Iron Man armor in minifigure form, just because the contrast between the red and dark red is just so good. And then we move on to the Iron Spider, and as I said before, he does have one of the Power Blast pieces, and shoot that off and get it out of here. Oops, just like that. And yeah, it's got the arms, which I feel lack a little bit of detail. I don't know, they're fine, and they scale pretty well with the figure. But they use one of those Outrider back attachments. It's alright. I don't hate it. But I far prefer the figure without those arms, which, he does sometimes wear the suit without the arms. He only uses the arms when he needs them. And I think that this, by itself, is really, really cool. The torso print is amazing. It's one of my favorite torsos ever, probably, with that awesome arm printing. I don't know, it just comes out really, really nice looking. And, you also have the printing on the other arm, obviously. However, there's no dual molded legs. They kind of let the figure down a little bit on that. The leg printing that is there is pretty good, and if it was dual molded, this would probably be one of the greatest minifigures ever. But that's kind of the big, giant downside of that. I love the printing on the front of the torso, and there's amazing printing on the back of the torso. Like, that looks fantastic, and it's a shame to have to hide that with this. But I'm so glad that they printed this anyway, because, it makes this figure work great from behind as well. Again, though, dual molded legs would be perfect, but the printing on the head is fine. It's the same, I believe, as the previous MCU Spider-Man figures. But yeah, overall, great figure, with one disappointing feature, which is the non-dual molded legs. It's not the end of the world. I still think that this is good, the way they did it, but I would have preferred, I don't know, scrap his leg printing. We don't need that. Just give us dual molded legs here. I feel like I would have been okay with that compromise. I guess they weren't. I guess they figured Ebony Maw needs legs. We can just print these. It's fine. But I don't know. I don't think it's fine. I mean, it is fine. I'm not going to get too mad about it in the long run, but this is one of my biggest nitpicks about the set. Overall, I'm very happy with the build here, especially the Sanctum half. I think that this is fantastic. Some of the exterior is a little bit off with just the technicals there. If those were covered up, that would have been nice. Also, I guess the studs aren't that big a deal. But I like the overall look here. It definitely looks New York-like, and I appreciate that. And you do get, exactly who participates really in this battle here. However, I think 5 figures, my biggest complaint is that 5 figures is a little bit low for a $100 set. The rest of the figures that, make sense in this scene really are Wong, which, it would have been really nice to get a Wong in this set. However, he does come in the BrickByBrick pack, but it would have been nice to see Wong here. Would have been nice to see Bruce Banner, who appears in one of the other sets, but he's a very simple figure. They could easily have thrown him in here. And, he appears in 2 sets, a Ragnarok one and in the Infinity War Hulkbuster. I feel like that would have been better there. If they really wanted to be cool, they could have, thrown in maybe a version of this Tony, but with the glasses. That could have been nice, because this guy didn't get the glasses that he has. But I don't know, you could have done that and then also have the Iron Man armor for Tony to change into. I feel like adding in those 3 more figures would have made this set a lot better. I mean, it's not terrible that they aren't included, and I still would recommend the Sanctum without, since even, those 3 figures aren't here. However, I just feel like these 3 figures would have taken the set to the next level. But as it sits, I think that the figures you do get in this set are all great. Like these 4 are exclusive. Tony Stark or Iron Man is the only one that isn't. But even he is a really cool figure. And also, notice, I did just use one of the extra pieces in the set to just clip him to the side here, get a little bit of a dynamic pose there. I thought that looked cool. Just a small tip, maybe if you have this set and you want to do that, that's nice. But yeah, Doctor Strange, fantastic figure. Iron Spider, also. And the bad guys, they're good for what they are. Ebony Maw's a little bit desirable. I don't really care about Cull Obsidian, and I feel like they could have dropped him maybe in exchange for, I don't know, another exclusive good guy. But I'm happy that he's here because it allows you to create the battle from the beginning of the movie. But overall, I think that the set is a very good one. $100 seems fair parts-wise, but this does seem like a little bit of a small final product because they do put a lot of the parts into external detailing. The building experience was definitely satisfying for a $100 set, but I don't know, I feel like the final product feels like it's worth maybe $80. I think adding in those other figures would, make it feel sufficient for $100, but this does feel a little tiny bit small. I don't dislike, or I'm not unhappy with the result here, and I think I paid a fair price for it, but I don't know, I don't think 100 is unreasonable, but it's on the higher end of what's acceptable. So they could have made the value a little better. But, most of the complaints I've made throughout this review are rather nitpicky. I do think that this, on the whole, is a very good set. And it's definitely a fun one for kids. You can have a lot of fun playing around with the figures here, having some battles around the Sanctum. And if you're a fan of the Doctor Strange movie, and maybe even if you didn't like Infinity War, I do think that this Sanctum alone has plenty of stuff for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.